Now I'm kind of at that place where I trust no. And that's not nice. That's not a nice place to be. But we have to be here to protect ourselves. Of course. Hello, you gorgeous doers and beers, and of course the duets and the beets. I do hope that you're very well. Today I'm continuing to talk about, hang on, what's going to happen afterwards? You know, when all of this shit's over. What's going to be our job? What are we going to get involved with? Well, I asked the Emissaries all about that, and they told me a few things that I want to share with you on the other side. So I said to the Emissaries, okay, so look, once everything's divided off, and we haven't believed it, and then we believe it, and then we think, well, we better crack on, yeah, because it looks like this shit's real, okay? Then what we're going to do, and they said there are 3 steps that we're going to be involved with. The first one is, they said that we're going to, and this is going to be the easiest step, is deciding what it is that we're going to tumble, what needs to be brought down. Now, the gut feel that I have, and I'm pointing up here, but I should be pointing here, shouldn't I? But the gut feel here, it's in my throat, because I'm talking about it. The feeling that I have is that lots of things are automatically going to fall. There's going to be a fall. The Emissaries have talked about this before, the collapse of everything. And they said it's got to collapse. But they said not everything will collapse. But what needs to collapse will collapse. But they said then our job will be to decide of what's remaining, what has value. And I think that's going to be a very easy decision to make. And I think the first thing that we will probably decide is that politics is definitely the first thing to collapse. Definitely. Let's do a little list. In fact, you can put in the comments what you would like to see collapsed immediately. Hollywood, politics, tax, all of the costs, all of the rules, all of the laws, you know, being replaced by what? Because people say, well, you can't get rid of the laws, it'll be madness. No, because there's one law, there's one rule, which is the golden rule. When people follow that, we don't need any laws after that. All we need is guidance, which we'll come on to. We just need guidance. But the golden rule of let's treat everybody as we would treat ourselves. Do no harm. Do no harm. That in and of itself stops everything. It stops everything. Nobody would do anything that was going to harm somebody. Can you imagine a world in which people don't do any harm? Man, we live in this world where there's so much harm being done. There are so many people doing it unknowingly and knowingly, harming people. Just imagine all the people who are working in jobs that's damaging the earth. All the people who are working in jobs that is damaging people. I don't know how much of the jobs that are happening are damaging people, but they're significant. All of that would just stop. People just would say, I'm not doing that. It damages people. It does harm. I'm not doing it. It's harming the earth. In a split second, nanosecond, there would be no more lines in the sky. Because the pilots would say, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to do any harm. Doctors would instantly stop prescribing things. Because they would know. And they would say, no, because my oath is to do no harm. That's a doctor's oath, isn't it? And it just every single bad thing that happens would stop. It might take a little while. It might take a little while for people to realise that they're actually doing harm. But boy, I think very, very quickly, when you work from the premise of do no harm, then you've got to be aware of what you're doing. Suddenly your mind opens up and you start looking at what you're doing and you question, what am I doing? Is this doing harm or not? I think most people who are working in those kind of jobs know that. All they're doing is they just lie to themselves. Of course they do. It's very easy. I've done it. I've been there. And I have justified my actions. It's what we do. We justify our actions. And what we do is we find something to balance out. I'll give you an example. So a doctor who gives these, okay, they know for a fact that every now and again somebody has a terrible reaction. They know that. They know. They will have seen, anybody who's done that for long enough will have seen, like during the pandemic, people who are doing that, we're seeing people falling and sometimes not getting back up. They know that they've done harm. But what they do is they say, yeah, but think of how many people we've saved. I know it's a shit argument because they don't know. But that's how we justify. And all of that, just by following the rule of do no harm, will disappear. Then the second job, after deciding what needs to fall, is deciding what needs to stay. Right? And I know it goes kind of hand in hand, but the emissary said it's going to be the decision what needs to stay. And they said that may be a little bit more complex. All right, because we know what's bad, but we don't necessarily know what's terribly good. We don't know yet. It's not clear. And so that's going to take a little time to understand, hang on, no, actually we really need this. This is really good. We need it. Like for now, we know we need farmers. Guaranteed. Without them, we're going to be in shit street. So there are some things that are very clear, but other things we're not so sure. That we don't know enough about them to know. They said that's the next process that we're going to go through. What needs to fall, then what needs to stay. And then they said the very third process, the last process, is what do we need to create? And they said that one is a much longer process, because it's going to be a process of what do we need to create? How do we create it? And then we don't always know what we need to create until we create something, and then that moves on to something else and something else. And they said that bit is where we're going to have some help. That bit is where the emissary said that some of the emissaries will be here helping us and advising us, because we're going to need some advice. We're not accustomed to nice. We're not used to good and fine and beautiful and wonderful. We're not. We know it, we want it, we desire it, but we haven't had enough examples given to us in this shitty world in which we find ourselves. And so it's going to take a while. And they said maybe then, in terms of unity, we might have some skirmishes of people saying, no, we need this, and other people saying, no, we've got to create this or whatever. And so they said that we're going to need time and we're going to need help to be able to decide how to build this world again. It needs to be really built from pretty much from scratch. And I'm talking about systems and the way that we govern ourselves, the way we manage ourselves. And I know the emissaries have talked about a long time that it's going to be community. But the only way community would work, is if we have the golden rule first of do no harm. Because I've seen community stuff going on, like in our community, it's awful. People are awful to one another. They say terrible things to one another, harming one another. But of course, if we have the golden rule of do no harm, it doesn't matter. Everyone's going to work together. It's going to be beautiful. But it's going to take time. And I don't think it's a transition that we're going to have to make of coming from very heavy vibe. This is a heavy vibe place. We've had the stuffing knocked out of us, to use that expression. We've had our duck knocked off. I couldn't have been a more optimistic person. When I was in my 20s, I could have almost floated off the ground with optimism. I loved life, loved people, loved the world, everything was wonderful. Now, my duck is lying on the floor. Now, I'm kind of at that place where I trust no fucker. And that's not nice. That's not a nice place to be. But we have to be here to protect ourselves, of course. But now we're going to have to go through, when we get to that place, we're going to have to go through a bit of healing. We're going to have to overcome that. We're going to have to open ourselves up. Can you imagine? It's even scary to think about it now. Open your heart again and open your heart. Imagine being able to open your heart up, knowing that nobody was going to do you harm. Wow, that would be beautiful. That will be beautiful. And at the moment, the idea of doing that, the idea of exposing myself emotionally to this world is absolutely off the cards. They can fuck off with that. No way. But I know that at some point we're going to do that. And it's going to be beautiful. And I can't begin to imagine how much more efficient this world is going to be, how speedy it's going to be. It's just going to take off because every single person has your best interests at heart. Imagine that. Every single person looking out for you, wanting to help you. Phew. Man, orgasmic. That's probably what it's going to be like. We're going to spend the first bit going, ah, like this, getting up in the morning going, ah, like the relief, sigh of relief. Ah, maybe for the first year and a half, we'll be every morning we'll get up and go, oh, I don't need to be scared. Oh, I don't need to take care. I don't need to protect myself today. I don't need to ward off evil spirits. I don't need to get that wood that you burn and take it round the house to get rid of the evil spirits and all of that. I don't have to do that. Everybody's nice. And I suppose for me it'll be like going back to when I was 20, except it'll be true. In 20 I was just in the world of, as I say here in Spain, en el mundo de yuppies. I was just in a fantasy world. It was nice though. And I miss that. I miss that innocence. And I'm sure you do as well. That's what we're going to have. It's going to be an innocence again. An innocence of, hey, it's all okay. Everybody's all right. Everything's okay. Bloody hell. I'm looking forward to that. What about you? What are you looking forward to? What is it that you want to really experience again? And is it something that you had and you lost and you want to find it again? Like me with believing that everybody's nice. I want to find that again. I want to believe that again. That'd be beautiful. Just that in itself makes me feel emotional. Just to be able to believe in people again. Wow. Something to look forward to. So put in the comments what you have lost and you want to find again, or what you just want to find for the first time. I love you all and I'll speak to you all later. Bye bye.